motion to exit the closed session and resume the regular meeting for Board of Ed? So moved. Second. Roll call, please, on the motion.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Carlillo?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Bermudez?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
Mr. Pate?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Everyone please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll be brief with the Board President. Of course, I want to mention two things. I want to thank the members of the community, also the businesses and the staff who participated in the Kevin's Kids event this past weekend. I think overall the program went well again, and thank you to our community for their support. I know that the kids and the families of the children who benefit from this program will appreciate that very much. Also want to mention, I have in my report that after 7 years of legal wrangling, the U.S. Congress has finally replaced No Child Left Behind with a new law. Supposedly, the new law will have more flexibility. It takes away some of the onerous provisions of the No Child Left Behind. The regulations, though, are still to be developed by the U.S. Department of Education, and we'll have to see what they look like. But progress after 7 years since the former law actually sunset. With that, we have a series of presentations, the first of which is going to be the annual audit report. Mr. Lorenzo.
We have Dave Gannon here from Whiston Company. He's here to present the 2014 audit.
It should come in December more. Come in October, no one's usually here. So, before I start, I'll be brief so I visit. First thing I always like to tell you is that, the audit is a very time-consuming process. We're out here for 5 weeks during the whole part of the year. And in that time, your employees have to do their regular duties, as well as respond to our numerous requests. I always like to make sure I mention how professional, courteous, and just helpful your employees are during the audit process. It really is difficult to constantly respond to our requests and still go about your day, doing their daily duties, and also keep just such a professional and conscientious attitude. With that, I'd like to also congratulate the district on receiving, for the 19th straight year, District of Excellence in Financial Reporting. That's quite an accomplishment. We've issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's the best opinion you can get. It's a clean opinion. Means that those financial statements are in accordance with justice accounting principles. What I'll tell you is that we don't make any material adjustments to those financial records. So when you get your monthly board packets, you get your monthly board secretary's report, you can have confidence that those numbers are right. Your fund balance at June 30, 2015 was $2.3 million, which was a slight decrease from the previous year. It's important to remember, out of that amount, more than half of it's already restricted for other purposes. $9,000 is excess surplus from this year, will be restricted for 16-17. $266,000 is actually used to balance your 15-16 budget. You have approximately $800,000 in capital gains reserves, just in case for emergencies. An actual 2% unrestricted amount of $4.1 million. Capital Projects Fund represents the proceeds from the bond referendum that occurred during the year. One of the things that held up the audit this year was the implementation of a new standard from GASB. The state of New Jersey had quite a difficult time implementing it. And until they were able to implement it, they weren't able to provide every district in the state with the information that was needed to report your financial statements. So for the first time ever, every school district in the state is required to report their portion of the net pension liability for PRS. The district's allocable portion is $19 million. So that is reported in the financial statements. One impact, because you have the regional day school and how that's accounted for, part of that net pension liability also gets allocated to the regional day school. So if we were to look at the financial statement this year, that financial statement for Regional Day specifically looks a lot different than you would normally see. You'll see a big, large deficit because it's on the full progressive accounting. That liability, which is a very long-term in nature, call it 30 years, has an impact on that net position. If you were to look at it without that, it'd be approximately $247,000 of unrestricted fund balance, which compared to last year was $207,000. But just looking at the numbers as it is on paper, it gets a little misleading. We've also performed a federal state single audit, which was issued on modified opinions on compliance. That means you're spending your money for federal state purposes appropriately. We've issued a report for the government auditing standards in which if we had noted such significant deficiencies as material weaknesses or deficiency, that would be reported to you in that report. There are none. The district has a very strong system of internal controls, has for years, has done a very good job of maintaining that even through transition. We also issue an auditor's management report with reported no findings to you. Last year there was one finding, and that finding was corrective action taking this past year, and it's not repeated. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Questions from the board members?
Will we be back to the regular October for next year?
Well, as the state provides the information, the first
Stay as long as the state do
we
it.
should. They're confident that going forward, they just struggle with it. Literally, the numbers didn't come out until November 13th. So literally 600, no audits, none of the 600 audits from the state got issued before November 13th. Really, as of December 1st, only 4 did. That's the impact.
Yeah, I also want to just extend my thank you to Dave and his firm. Like Dave said, this is an extensive process. This does span over 5 weeks. And Dave's firm is very patient with us because, like he said, we are working on our day-to-day stuff. And they're there 4 or 5 days a week with us, and when they need information, they're patient, and they're professional. And they make as tough as an audit is, they make it as easy as possible on us. So I appreciate that. And then as far as having a clean audit and receiving the certificate of excellence in financial reporting, this is a district recognition. This is not just a board office recognition. I couldn't do this by myself. My staff could not do this by myself. So this is achievement for the entire district, for all the staff in the buildings and the departments, the administration, central office administration, and basically receiving this award shows the community that we have fiscal integrity, we are transparent, our financial statements are transparent, and we do put out high quality financial statements. So I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate the board on receiving this award for the 19th straight year, and hopefully when we submit our audit this year for review, we'll bring this award back for the 20th straight year. So thank you.
And thank you for all the hard work of the staff of the district, not just the business office.
Maybe happy holidays, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Next, let's see, Mrs. Leakey, are you right there? She's right here. Would you come up, please? We have a very special presentation, and really it's a Wounded Warrior presentation. I know Mrs. Leakey made this presentation at the Veterans Day at the town hall. But our president, Mr. Chapman, Mr. Chapman is here?
Yes, he is.
Oh, super. I'm going to turn this over to you. Special award for one of our Wounded Warriors.
I'm sorry. Just bear with me a second. This is third time as a charm. This story that I'm going to read to Mr. Chapman here was written by the middle school children. Do I need a microphone?
You're projecting.
I'm good? Okay. The first thing we did when we started to do this was listen to Ms. Blakey explain the Wounded Warrior Quilt Project. She explained the size of the quilt and the fabrics that we needed to use. She explained that it would contain fabrics that were red, white, and blue, but it was not necessary to do that. We all separated and went into a computer lab and did research and found out what other people had done for the Wounded Warriors quilt. Some of us printed out sample ideas for the quilt. Kate H. came up with an idea to use jean fabric and stripe fabric and writing messages on that fabric. Some of the students wanted to use stars, and some were originally thinking of adding a border of flags. Next, we sat down and had a powwow. We exchanged our ideas. Ms. Blakey helped by reminding us that we did not want it to get too busy looking. The next challenge was to figure out the design and the fabrics that we wanted to use. Ms. Blakey said that if we tried to collect jeans to use the fabric, we would end up with too many variables and it would not work out well. She suggested that we look for a cotton fabric that looked like jeans and that we could write messages on it. We all agreed. Corbin G. came up with the idea to represent all military branches. Ms. Blakey thought that we wouldn't have enough time to order that fabric to get it into the quilt. Jonathan S. came up with the idea to add large stars in the corners. We started searching for fabrics in our classroom, and then Ms. Blakey brought in some of her own fabrics. One of the pieces of fabrics that we chose, Ms. Blakey said, had also been used in our 9/11 Remembrance quilt that we made here in Manchester. Sorry. And we all thought that that was an excellent choice to use in this quilt. All the other fabrics that we chose were muted reds, whites, and blues. The extra students that were good at math started on the size and shape of the quilt. They figured out the size 62 by 82 would be the best. Show them that. They'd take 4 pieces of graph paper together, each square representing 1 inch. They measured out the entire quilt, adding seam allowances all along the way. The quilt began to take shape. Each student that could sew on the machine was given 1 section to sew. Some of the students learned how to cut the fabric using new technology instead of shears. Some students marked the seam allowances of 1/4 of an inch so the students could sew the perfect seams. We also used special sewing attachments that could help keep the seams straight. Some of the students were set up at ironing boards to iron as the other students were sewing. Desiree Corbin, Victoria Emily, Nicolette W., Morgan, and Mrs. Armstrong were all on the sewing machines. And I want to tell you that most of those children are here today. And they began to sew the first parts of the quilt. The squares contained the branches of all armed forces. Brooke M., Nicole, Olivia, and Madison began cutting, ironing, and measuring, and many other things to make this possible. While they were sewing these sections together, other students measured and cut out the pieces. Once the sections were sewn together, it was time to lay out the quilt to determine the placement of each branch. We all sewed together. Originally, the students had wanted stripes all the way around the quilt, but we realized it was going to be too big. The stripes were added to the top and bottom, and the stars made up the final border. Large stars were put in the corners of the quilt. All the students that participated in the extra group throughout the year were asked to write special messages that would go on the quilt. The messages were written by students who had nice handwriting. Once the quilt top was completed, it was ironed and brought to a long-arm quilter, Pat Brown, who did a magnificent job quilting the top and bottom fabrics together. We offer our gratitude. The binding was added by Ms. Blakey, and the label was designed by all of us and added to the quilt. We all enjoyed making this quilt. We're very excited to be here today. We all worked together collaboratively, and we had a lot of fun. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Steve. On 9/11/2001, Steve Chapman was a senior in high school. Like so many, especially in our neck of the woods, he was shaken by the attacks in our backyard and was determined to help. After graduating high school in June 2002, he enlisted in the United States Army and became an infantryman. In 2004, he was stationed in Sadr City, Iraq, his first tour in Iraq. His unit was tasked with patrolling the streets of Sadr City for insurgents. On September 7, 2004, 7 months into his first deployment, Stephen was riding in an armored tank while patrolling when an IED, improvised explosive device, detonated and destroyed the tank. More importantly, the IED injured Stephen and his fellow servicemen. The blast injured Stephen's right leg, singed and severed the top of his knuckles to his left hand. After the explosion, Stephen underwent 2 surgeries in Iraq to try and save his leg. On 9/11/2004, Stephen returned to the United States and underwent 3 additional surgeries to his right leg at Walter Reed Hospital. Unfortunately, Stephen did lose his leg. He left Walter Reed on 10/12/2005. I can say that even though Stephen lost his leg, his spirit is strong. Today he spends time helping his father run his glass business, and he likes to ride on lawns. We, the students from Manchester Township Middle School, with the help of our teacher, Ms. Blakey, give you this Wounded Warrior quilt with our thanks for your courage and your sacrifice that you made for us. come over here. I need to back it up. Okay, we're gonna back it up. I didn't know where to go with that.
That's good, that's good.
Oh my God. All right, ready? You got us? Yep. And Steve, one more. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, there you go, sir. And this is yours, and the pillowcase is yours. And Mr. Trethewey, you will take the honors.
Really? Yeah, Stephen, you're right, all right. Congratulations, buddy. I'm so proud of you. Now, I know you've gotten so many awards, and this is very special. But I do have a hawk kid for you. Good seeing you, buddy. Good seeing you. Congratulations. What are you? I don't know much more we can say after that. And thanks for remembering me. Just want to add one other thing. Our district together put together a fundraiser for Wounded Warriors. And I would say one of the major starters of that donation fund or drive was Elaine Payton. And through her work and through the work of all of our schools, we were able to accumulate, and we will donate to the Wounded Warrior Program $1,000. So thank you to all the staff And keeping on with that theme, I have Mrs. Driver, I believe. Is she in the audience somewhere? Okay. And we have some winners for our Patriot 10 essays. I know Mr. Dupree is here, right? Mr. Dupree here? Yes. Yes, come on up. Thank you for being here. You go over.
Good evening. Excuse me. The Patriots Pen essay is a wonderful essay that is through the VFW, and both Mr. Trethewey and I in the previous district did it, and we had such great participation. And we believed that we wanted to be here for Manchester because Manchester, you know, has such respect and honor for our veterans. And this is something that they sponsor. And I have to tell you, we had 100% participation from the middle school students. 6 students were selected as winners of the Patriots Pen essay, and it was an interdisciplinary project. The social studies teachers taught the students, the graphic organizers, what freedom is to them, and then our language arts teachers, the students wrote it in there. So it truly was a school-wide project, and I thank the students and the staff. I thank Mrs. Saracino, our history and language arts supervisor, who had so much to do with it and actually dropped off our essays. So I believe the gentlemen are now going to present the winners of the essays.
Thank you very much. First, thank you very much for inviting us, Mr. Trethewey, and the board members. I want to commend every student that participated in this, because in reality you're all winners because you're participating in a patriotic event, and some of you actually got paid to participate. You know, we all enjoy the efforts that our military patriots perform for us in guarding the gates of freedom. And you young students will be doing your part by participating in a program like this, writing about something that's important to you that involves freedom. When you get to high school, we have an additional program called Voice of Democracy, and the gifts are even larger to help you go to college. So keep that in mind, that this is just the beginning, and I commend you all for participating. I will announce the winners now, so we don't take up any more of your time. And if you'd step forward and shake Mr. Phillips' hand, and if the parents want to get a picture real quick, we'll pause for a second. Our first winner is, and this is for the 6th grade, the first place winner is Adrian Viscardi. Sure, let me read this one for you, and congratulations. Fantastic. The commander of the auxiliary and the president and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, commander of Lake Coast Post 10,061, proudly present a letter of achievement to Adrian Biscardi, first place winner of 6th grade annual Patriots Penn Youth Essay. You are hereby commended for your outstanding essay, which was selected as this year's winner for the patriotic theme, What Does Freedom Mean to Me? Your first place and an admirable performance helps support the programs and furthers the aims and ideals of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. On behalf of our veterans, thank you for your performance. We are very proud of you. Congratulations.
Mom here.
Get it? Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Forgot your mom.
And our second place winner from the 6th grade is Ethan Michael Stewart. The plaque is very similar, so we're not going to read them all, but if you want to get a picture, you turn around and stand next to Mr. Phillips.
Where do I go?
Great job. Thank you. Now, we also are handing out the essays with them. We have copies of them, but in addition to your checks and the plaque, there is also a return of your essay you can keep for a keepsake. Trevor David Juralowitz. Congratulations.
What?
You got some pictures coming, so you want to turn around again?
Wait, one more.
What do I do?
Next, Mrs. Excuse me, second place for the.
Where do I go?
Thank you, Marissa Klauber. Stand over there, Chuck. Very good. Oh, someone else?
Where do I go?
And for the 8th grade, the first place winner is Jaden Passos. Congratulations. Very good. Fantastic. Next, you have the voice of democracy. And Melanie Yetman. Congratulations. Very good. Can you stop for a picture? You got your effort? I don't know if we'd have got this much participation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Wait. this, we're very fortunate again to have
I don't know
Eagle
how to
Scout.
get
Mr. Renbach,
talking to you about the
there he is in the back.
he knows how to get to it. So you're gonna put him on the.
I'll give you a card or
Oh,
email.
absolutely. That's super.
That one coming through.
Thank you.
Superb.
In order to imagine just getting through there.
Nice pen. All right.
You're a hawk now.
Yeah. I wasn't. My daughters went here, so.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My name is Kevin Renbach. I'm the committee chairman of Troop 350 Boy Scouts. We meet out in Whiting. Tonight, the board is going to recognize one of our scouts for achievement. He's made Eagle Scout. The numbers, everybody, different people you talk to, anywhere from 4 to 5% of boys make Eagle Scout. It's a big accomplishment. So Kyle Doctor is being recognized tonight by the board. And again, I thank the board for always supporting us with our Scout program. So Kyle's going to talk a little bit about what his Eagle project was.
Last August 2014, I worked on a project out in Lakewood at the Beth and Shalom. It's the Jewish Reform Temple. And I worked on a garden for the Jewish Federation of Ocean County. It was a successful project. A lot of scouts come out. And now it's a fully functioning garden that we'll be using for hopefully a bunch of years forward.
Great.
Privilege of attending the Eagle Scout ceremony. Was very impressive. Quite a few folks came out, including quite a few staff members who had Kyle as a student. And that's reflective of a couple of things, both the quality of the young man that stands before you, and also his accomplishments. And as I said at his ceremony, the things that led him to become an Eagle Scout and complete his project are going to serve him well beyond just the next couple of years, well into the future. So on behalf of the board, I congratulate you. We have a plaque for you here. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Renbach, I'm trying to remember what you said at the ceremony. He is the 13th Eagle Scout, 20th Eagle Scout over the last 10 or 12 years?
About 10 years.
About 10 years. And that's a tribute not only to the young men, but also to the men and women who serve as Scout leaders in our community over all the years. And I believe there were quite a few former Scout leaders who were also at the ceremony. So that's really impressive. So thank you to the men and women who have served as Scout leaders in our community for the past 10 years. Appreciate it.
Good shot.
That's not your 20th chin.
Yep. All right, so next presentation we have Mrs. Sarita Dodd, President of the Manchester Township PTA, who has a presentation for ETS, I believe.
I do. At the beginning of the year, the PTA offers each of our schools the opportunity to have all of their teachers join the PTA in support of the PTA. We do programs in every one of the schools, Regional Day, the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. And tonight I want to present to the Manchester Township Elementary School 100% participation. They will be entitled to and get a sweet treat day where we will feed them lots of delectable sweet things after the holidays because they're already off of it.
Thank you, Sarita. And again, I have to say, our PTA does do a great job here, and anybody doesn't know, we have one PTA for the entire district. Every school participates, and they get funds from the PTA. They fund a lot of programs that we're not able to do. Again, on behalf of the board and myself, thank you for all you do for the PTA. Thank you. It's a great night here. We're now looking at the MTEF, the mini grant presentations. We really have a number of awards giving out to our staff. I thought I saw Mr. DeSimone and Mrs. Malloy. Are these you guys around? All right.
Thanks.
Mrs. Malloy, that's it. She's leaving you hanging. There you go. There we go.
I think maybe in the interest of time, we'll just, instead of having all the teachers come up, maybe we'll just kind of give the presentation and then go outside in the well and give them their fake checks.
That's fun, however you want.
Yeah, I need to take a picture of everybody anyway.
Yeah, everybody would have it up.
They should come on.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'm Jeff DeSimone, we're from the Manchester Township Educational Foundation. And every year we run a golf outing that raises money for things that we donate back to the schools. One of our big things that we try to run is the Teacher Mini Grant. And previous years we've had teachers from the district submit for various things, various technology projects. And this year we received 19 mini grant submissions, 3 from the middle school, 1 from the high school, 4 from the elementary school, 3 from Regional Day, and 8 from Ridgeway School. And happy to say that all 19 of those grants were funded in some way or another. So the estimated cost from the teachers was about $13,600, and we had the money to do that, and we have divvied up the grants in the following manner. So from the middle school, Mrs. Park, I don't know if she's here. And her grant was, she was asking for $860. This grant was for Makerspace, and it actually impacts 700 students. So for a cost of $860 to impact 700 students this year alone, and probably into the future, was definitely a great project to fund. Ms. Laporte, Congratulations. Your project was the Monarch Way Station. That was a $400 request, and that impacts 650 students. So once again, it's a great project, and we're happy to fund that. Congratulations. Mrs. Morgan. They're all great projects, but this one I think really stood out this year. It impacts 300 students. It was for a beach revitalization project. It ties in science, it ties in a lot of different things. I wish you could explain it all. Maybe, you know, we can't have you explain it all. It was for $1,460, and again, it impacts 300 students, and I would personally want to be involved with that, and I think other members also would like to help out when you go down there. You want to give a brief explanation? Or?
Basically, it's a grant to restore the shore. It's a revitalization project where we'll be planting, and I'm doing it with Mrs. Laporte, we'll be planting plugs to regrow the dune grass
and we'll be able to take the kids out to the beach, and it ties in with our ecology unit, so it will be an ongoing lesson all year. And we are working in partnership with the Island Beach State Park, and they will be sending speakers to our classrooms as well as instructors who will come in and teach the children about that area. So it is an awesome program. And I am so glad that we were chosen to do this, because now the kids are going to really enjoy it. And we welcome your participation as well.
Thank you. All right. From the elementary school, Mr. Harrigan, Paul Harrigan. He put in for Spelling City Premium membership, and I believe that covers, there was 4 teachers. I think it covers the whole grade level. So that impacts about 110 students. It was a cost of $265. Jennifer Gilbert from the elementary school. As Jennifer is walking up, and the other teachers, Danielle Hickey, Danielle Knight, and Stacy O'Connor, they were the co-applicants. They asked for iPads to bridge interactive learning was the name of their project. It impacts 80 students, and the ask was for $2,100, and we were happy to grant that to you guys. Sharianne Giacomo?
We're accepting on her behalf.
Okay, all right. And that was for mini iPads. There was, that impacts 18 students, and that was about $370. One grant that we did not approve, and I don't want to say we didn't approve, it was Mr. Portaways, who had asked for a jump rope team. We felt bad that we couldn't fund that because it didn't really match our requirements, but we're happy to announce that we didn't want to let it go unfunded. So we spoke to some people in town, and the Otts have, Mr. and Mrs. Ott, have agreed to fund that in the name of Nicholas. Susan Doyle from the Regional Day School. Oh yes, Miriam Hill and Jessica.
Yep.
This was for Board Maker Plus. It impacts 60 students at a cost of $790. And Board Maker Plus, I understand, is a software application.
Yes, it offers communication, receptive and expressive language skills. We can do some really fabulous things with doing activities, and so it's a great tool. Great tool.
Great. Happy we could help you with that. Mrs. Pennypacker from Regional Day. An iPad or an iPad and applications to go along with it, $454. You're welcome. And that impacts about 50 students as well. Mrs. Lambusta from the Regional Day School. I apologize for making you move. It was Projecting the Future. It impacts 10 students. Cost of $709, and I believe that was the Elmo projector or Elmo document cam, just like the one that's up here. All right. Tina Spinelli, Daniel O'Connell. Yours gave me some of the biggest problems trying to find it.
I have that.
Congratulations. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was for $1,183. It impacts 300 students. All these projects impact this number of students this year, but this equipment's going to stay around for a long time. So it's not perpetual, but it'll repeat itself every couple of years. And what it is that Tina had asked for was a paint dryer. So it's this huge contraption, and you're going to have a big truck pull up at the high school. I didn't It's going to deliver it right there, so I'll get in touch with you when I think it's coming. You're welcome. Okay. And Ridgeway School. Ridgeway School had the most applications this year, so you should get a special award. I think there was 8 overall from the school alone. So, Crystal Castro. The project was QR codes in the classroom and 4 mini iPads. It impacts 20 students.
Crystal, you can stay right there. I'm going to bunch everything in.
And that cost is around $1,000. Jessica Parsons. The name of the project was I Learn with iPad, impacts 6 students for $374. Kathleen Antonelli. It was 3 Kindle Fire tablets, impacts 30 students for about $500. Kimberly Castigliola, did I say that right? Castigliola?
Oh, there you go.
And Bridget Cahill. This was for iPads, for the resource and special ed, impacts about 15 students at a cost of about $812. Raquel Pachonsky. I don't think she's here, right?
I was going to accept on her behalf.
Come on. This was called SLAM, S-L-A-M, Speak, Listen, and the rest got cut off from my paper, so I don't remember.
They're voice recorders.
Yeah, Speak, Listen, Analyze, and Master. I'm sorry, I apologize. And they're voice recorders that I guess the kids could use to do those things with. So that cost was about $225. Gina Foss. Gina's project was for an iPad. It impacts 16 students, and the cost was $540. Ms. Hennig. And this was for Kindles for Learning. It impacts about 21 students at a cost of around $199. And Mrs. Zeller. And this, again, it's seeing the bigger picture. It's an Elmo document cam and a cart for it to go on. It impacts 21 students, again, just for this year alone. That will be around for a little while, and that was a cost of around $860. I'd like to just say a couple things. I mean, we work hard to try and raise money, but really the credit should go for the teachers because they spend a lot of time in the classroom, and this is extra effort. And they could say it benefits them a little bit, but it really benefits the kids in the classroom. And I commend all of you for putting the extra time in to get this money to do that and bring that technology into your classroom. And the board should recognize you, your principals should recognize you, but the parents should recognize you too. A lot of times that goes unseen, and really it should be noted. You should be congratulated on that. So, in closing, thank you. We, as a foundation, we could use all the help in the world. We could use more volunteers. The the more volunteers we have, the more programs like this we can run. I think right now there's about 6 or 7 of us, and you know we run pretty ragged trying to do the things we do. So I would really hope to reach out to the people in the audience to volunteer and help us with this, because it is a good project. It is a good program. So.
Of course, yes. Congratulations.
All right, can everybody see me? Yeah. Try it up here. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more, just to make sure nobody's eyes are closed. 1, 2, 3.
Man, you flew off pretty good, man. I think you got me beat. I'm good, how are you? Very good. I like your shirt a lot. Charlie Brown. Yeah, I watched that.
Oh God, I want to see that one.
Merry Christmas.
Meeting is still in session. Yeah, quiet, please.
I'll put it up.
Before we take a break, before we have our presentation on the block schedule, I just want to take a moment to recognize 2 members of the board. This is sort of bittersweet for me and the board. 2 of our members will no longer be board members come January 1. And I just want to take an opportunity to recognize Kevin Oliver from Lakehurst, longtime board member in Lakehurst, who's been on and off our representative. I know I've consulted with him on a number of occasions on a number of issues that relate to both our district and Lakehurst. I know Lakehurst is going to miss him. Personally, I'm going to miss him. A graduate of Manchester Township High School. Kevin, I just want to say thank you for your years of service both to the Lakehurst School District and also to Manchester. I should ask you how many years overall? 20 years. 20 years.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Picture. One more time.
Oh, wait a minute. Thank you for your.
This is also James Griffin's last meeting. He's been with us, I believe, 5 years. Six. Came on at the end of a term for a member who stepped down and was reelected along with myself 3 years ago. A parent of several children in the district, always comes up with some interesting points of view on matters because he's close to what goes on with his own kids. And I know I picked his brain on a number of occasions about different matters affecting the school district. I know he's a busy guy because he works for a contractor. And as someone who came on board when he came on board, I just want to say thank you, James, for your years of service. We're going to miss you. I know you're going to still be around. You still got kids in the school. So you're not going anywhere.
Congratulations. That's where I'm getting on eBay.
Okay, we're going to take a brief 5-minute break to refresh, use the restroom facilities, and so those of you who do not wish to stay can leave, and then we will resume the regular meeting. 5 minutes.